Here's the thing. Most people don't fail because they're lazy. They fail because they're noisy. They stack features like sandbags. They copy competitors out of fear. They listen to every opinion except the one voice that matters, the user's felt experience. And then they wonder why their product doesn't land. It's simple. When you design for applause, you get noise. When you design for clarity, you get love. When I dropped out of Reed College, I didn't suddenly become smarter, I became lighter. I stopped chasing requirements and started following curiosity. I wandered into a calligraphy class that had no practical purpose at the time. Spacing, kerning, the dignity of a letter form, it trained my eye to notice what most people skim past. Years later, that impractical obsession turned into fonts that made a computer humane. That's taste. The courage to care about what others call trivial because you can feel it matters. Most builders ship for dashboards, not for people. They mistake activity for discernment. They collect metrics the way hoarders collect trinkets and then wonder why the room feels unlivable. Taste is the antidote to that clutter. Taste says, we will trade volume for meaning, we will trade more for better, we will trade busy for essential. I learned this the hard way too. When I got fired from Apple, a company I co-founded, the easy thing would have been to chase relevance, to stay noisy, to keep my name in headlines. Instead, I went back to the studio, I built again. I surrounded myself with people obsessed with the exactness of craft. That season, between Apple and my return, sharpened my sense of what belongs and what should be ruthlessly removed. Titles come and go, taste accumulates. If your work is drowning, the solution isn't another feature, it's fewer. The solution isn't a new tool, it's a new eye. Most people think taste is about luxury. It isn't. Taste is empathy for the human on the other side of the screen, the page, the storefront. It's knowing what feels right and having the spine to protect it from compromise, especially when that compromise would be cheaper, faster, easier to explain in a meeting. The world is littered with almost. You are here to make inevitable. And one more thing, your time is limited. Remembering that you'll die soon is the most practical filter I know. Death is a brilliant designer, it removes the unnecessary. If you design your product, your schedule, your company the way death would clean, essential, no fluff, you won't just make better things, you'll live a better life. Let's talk about how. Taste is a compass. The real edge, people think taste is a coat of paint. It's not. Taste is a compass. It points you toward the essential and away from the merely clever. It turns out that taste is the difference between a tool you tolerate and a companion you love. It's the difference between a company that keeps shipping forgettable stuff and a company that shapes culture. I obsessed over taste because it collapses the distance between intention and impact. Without taste, you'll rationalize every choice using spreadsheets and acronyms, but the result will feel off like a chair that looks fine until you sit in it. With taste, you still use data, but you use it to inform decisions you can feel in your bones. Taste is not the enemy of rigor, it's rigor aimed at the right target. At Reed, calligraphy taught me proportion. At Next, material and silence taught me restraint. Magnesium, black, clean lines that asked you to breathe. At Pixar, story taught me pacing and integrity. If a scene didn't serve the character's emotional truth, it died, even if it was gorgeous. When I returned to Apple, I brought that discipline back with me. We didn't try to make 20 things adequate. We picked a few and demanded they be insanely great. That phrase wasn't marketing, it was a standard of taste. Taste is also how you hire. People with taste can argue over a pixel without ego because the argument isn't about them, it's about the work. They can kill a feature they personally love because it makes the whole worse. Taste is a kind of honesty. It won't let you ship a sentence you'd be embarrassed to read out loud. It won't let you accept a latency that kills delight. It won't let you harm a user's attention just to bump an engagement graph. You either stand for the human or you don't. Taste stands for the human. But Steve, isn't taste subjective? At the extremes, sure. But most of the time, there's a shared human sense of rightness we can tune into. A door handle that doesn't fight your hand. A sentence that reads the way people talk. A screen that feels calm instead of frantic. Taste is learning to detect those universal clicks and then refusing to ignore them. Focus comes from saying no to 1,000 things. Taste tells you which 1,000. Without it, you'll drown in maybe. With it, you'll cut faster, earlier, cleaner. You'll be accused of being difficult. That's fine. Difficult is just what consistency looks like to people who've made peace with clutter. So if you want an edge, don't just learn to code or sell or raise. Learn to see. Train your eye and your ear and your gut until you can tell in the first 5 seconds whether something is alive or just arranged. Then live by that sense, even when it costs you, especially when it costs you. The 4 rules of taste: study masters, refine details, trust instinct, cut noise frameworks are only useful if they're sharp enough to cut. Here's mine. 4 rules. Study masters. Refine details, trust instinct, cut noise. Run these daily and your work will start to feel inevitable. First, study masters, not summaries masters. Go to primary sources. Reverse engineer the objects and stories that changed you. If you build products, study the pioneers who made technology human. If you tell stories, study the filmmakers and authors who make time disappear. Don't copy their furniture, understand their bones. Ask, what principle made this feel so right? In typography, it might be rhythm and proportion. In hardware, it might be restraint and material honesty. In software, it might be latency and clear language. Build a private canon, a shelf of 15 works you revisit until you can sketch their structure from memory. That is your taste gym. Second, refine details. People think details are small. They're not. Details are where trust is earned or lost. The spacing of dialogue, the first run experience, the name of the button, the way it wakes from sleep, these are not ornaments, they're your handshake with the user. I argued over bezel widths because an extra millimeter felt sloppy. I cared about the weight of a box because unboxing is the first chapter of the story. I fought for typography because words are the interface. Taste is the patience to grind until the roughness is gone and then stop before you sand the soul away. Third, trust instinct. Instinct is not magic. It's pattern recognition earned by immersion. After you study masters and ship a lot of work, your gut becomes a high-speed filter. Use it. When something feels wrong, it usually is. When a demo sings, you can feel it before the graph catches up. Yes, talk to users. Yes, measure. But don't let numbers bully you out of the right decision. People don't always know how to ask for what will delight them. Your job is to show it to them and watch their eyes. The eyes don't lie. Fourth, cut noise. Taste can't grow in a crowded room. Your phone is a slot machine. Your calendar is a thrift store. Your brain is not a landfill. Design your environment so good choices are the path of least resistance. No inputs before you create an output. 2 email windows a day, both after you've shipped something that matters. Meetings must produce a decision or they didn't need to happen. Social's a tool you use on purpose, not a pacifier. The most expensive tax on taste is distraction. Here's a cadence I like. In the morning, study 1 page from your canon, then spend 90 minutes building 1 artifact code, paragraph, sketch, decision memo. After lunch, ship the artifact to someone who doesn't love you and ask 1 question. Where did it feel off? In the evening, kill 1 thing you thought you needed. That's taste in motion. Learn, make, test, subtract. If this resonates, if you feel the relief of a path where less becomes better, where standards are sharper than slogans, then show it. If you believe in changing the status quo by caring more and cluttering less, subscribe to this channel. We're building a community of people who think differently, who defend the human, and who will hold you to the bar you keep setting for yourself. The first Mac and the courage to reject cheap. Let me give you a concrete picture of taste at work. When we were building the first Macintosh, the easy route was obvious. Make another beige box, cram in features, race to hit a price point, and call it a day. That would have sold some units. It also would have been forgettable. I wasn't interested in forgettable. I wanted a computer that felt friendly, inevitable, almost alive. That meant courage. Courage to reject cheap in places most companies didn't even look. We fought for a sculpted enclosure that felt like it belonged in a home. not a lab. We obsessed over the way the screen greeted you hello, because words matter. We insisted on typography that didn't scream terminal but whispered human. We paid attention to the weight of the mouse in your hand, to the click that told you yes, that worked. These were not whims, they were taste-enforcing empathy. Inside the case, we did something symbolic that people still talk about. We engraved the team's signatures. Why? Because we wanted to sign our work like artists do. When you sign your work, you raise your standards. It's no longer a part number, it's a promise. We made calls that were unpopular in the room because they protected the experience. We cut features engineers loved because they complicated the story. We simplified the product line because confusion is a tax on the user. We refused to treat the inside of the machine like a junk drawer just because no one will see it. Someone will see it. The next engineer, the repair tech, the future you. Taste isn't selective, it's consistent. When I came back to Apple years later, the product grid looked like a crossword puzzle. Too many machines, too many names, too much fog. We drew a simple 4-square matrix. Consumer and pro, desktop and portable. 4 products. That edit hurt, cuts always do. But that decision gave us room to make each product great. It's hard to make 10 things outstanding. It's possible to make 4. Focus is taste applied to time. There's a pattern here you can steal for your work. Define a human promise that fits on a billboard a stranger can read at a stoplight. For iPod, it was 1,000 songs in your pocket. For a great app, it might be book a meeting without emails. For a service, it might be groceries at your door. Actually fresh. Once you have that line, every decision either makes it truer or less true. If a feature makes it less true, it's gone no matter how clever. That's how taste scales. And let me be clear, we didn't reject cheap because we liked being expensive. We rejected cheap because cheap usually means careless. Careless steals delight, careless steals trust. Cheap is a mindset that says, no one will notice. People always notice. Maybe not with words, but they feel it. And that feeling decides whether they come back or tell a friend. Taste is how you choose loyalty over short-term convenience, again and again, until it looks obvious in hindsight. The 30-day Taste Sharpening Challenge Curate inputs. Taste isn't a personality trait you're born with, it's a muscle. Train it. For the next 30 days, treat your taste like a product in active development. You will curate inputs, refine outputs, and subtract noise daily. By day 30, your eye will be sharper, your work cleaner, and your standards harder to compromise. Week 1, curate what you let in. Days 1, 7-day 1, build your canon. Choose 12 works you consider inevitable. 6 from your craft, 6 from outside it. Products, essays, films, buildings, interfaces, albums, print a list. This becomes your morning study deck. Day 2, 1 page, 1 principle. Read or re-watch one selection for 15 minutes. Extract a principle in a single sentence. Clarity beats cleverness. Friction is a tax on love. White space is a decision. Write it by hand. Day 3, replace feeds with sources. Unfollow accounts that add panic and envy. Subscribe to 2 high-signal newsletters or journals in your domain. Curate a primary sources folder. The eye can't develop on a diet of junk. Day 4, quiet hour. For the first hour after waking, no inputs. None. Sit with a notebook and ask, what am I trying to make inevitable? Write 3 sentences. When you remove noise, you'll start to hear signal. Day 5, walk and notice. Take a 20-minute walk with no headphones. Notice interfaces in the physical world, door handles, signage, ticket machines. What feels right? What fights you? Taste grows through contact with reality. Day 6, kill 3 things. Remove 3 distractions from your desk, phone, or calendar. If an object or meeting doesn't help you make or decide, it's theater. Theater's expensive. Day 7, canon reflection. Reread the week's principles. Which one changed something you made? Taste grows when ideas become behaviors. Week 2, craft what you put out. Days 8, name the artifact. Each morning, produce one named artifact by 10 a.m. Onboarding copy V1, prototype nav AB, decision memo. Pricing, hero image sketch, naming turns activity into evidence. Day 9, the 5-second test. Show your artifact to a real human for 5 seconds. Ask only, what did you feel? Not what they think, what they felt. Feelings point to taste issues faster than opinions. Day 10, subtraction pass. Remove one element that complicates the whole. A step, a field, a flourish, a sentence. If it hurts a little, you're cutting the right thing. Day 11, rename for humans. Change jargon into language an intelligent 12-year-old could repeat. Sign in, beats, authenticate. Start over, beats, initialize. Words are interface. Day 12, latency day. Find one place where your product is slow, in load time, in decision time, in support response. Improve it. Speed is taste in motion. Day 13, delight Adam. Add a tiny, respectful touch that no one demanded, but everyone will feel. A gentler animation, a kinder default, a thank you that sounds like a human. Day 14, weekly edit. Print your artifact list. Circle the one that changed your understanding of the problem. Write why. Taste sharpens when you reflect, not just produce. Week 3, train instinct and courage. Days 15-21, day 15, gut check. Review a decision you've been dithering on. Write the 2 sentences your gut keeps repeating. Decide. Instinct is a muscle built on reps. Day 16, user in the room. Invite a user, customer, reader, viewer into your next review. Give them the chair and shut up. Taste must answer to the person, not the committee. Day 17, contrarian hour. For 60 minutes, question a sacred cow in your product. What if this screen didn't exist? What if we stopped asking for X entirely? Fresh taste requires heresy. Day 18, courage reps. Say no 3 times to a feature, a meeting, a metric that confuses more than it clarifies. Write each no down. Focus is compound interest powered by refusal. Day 19, prototype the feeling. Build the cheapest experiment that captures the feeling you want. A paper storyboard, a clickable mock, a narrated screen recording. Don't polish, chase the feeling. Day 20, mentor, check. Show your canon and your artifacts to someone whose standards scare you a little. Ask, where am I settling? Thank them, fix it. Day 21, storyline pass. Write the 1-sentence billboard for your current project. If you can't, you don't understand it yet. If you can, put it where the team can't avoid it. Week 4, systemize and sustain, days 22. Day 22, morning manifest. 5 lines, no inputs before I create, 1 artifact before noon. Subtract before add. Words are interface, users decide. Read it aloud daily. Day 23, canon on calendar. Schedule 3 20-minute study blocks for next week. Protect them like a board meeting. Taste decays without maintenance. Day 24, automate the boring. Template your decision memos, code comments, review checklists. Automating drudgery leaves more attention for taste. Day 25, team standard. Declare 1 non-negotiable for the team. Every meeting ends with a named decision, or we demo feelings, not just features. Standards recruit. Day 26, Fresh Eyes Day. Ask a newcomer or someone from a different department to use your thing cold. Watch silently. Where they hesitate, you have work. Day 27, kill a pet. Identify 1 pet idea you love that doesn't serve the billboard. Kill it publicly. Nothing raises standards faster than the leaders sacrificing their own favorite. Day 28, gratitude for craft. Thank someone on your team for a detail most would miss. Gratitude is how you fund more care. Day 29, before-after gallery. Assemble screenshots, paragraphs, clips from day 1 and day 29. Put them side by side. Speak out loud what changed in your eye. That's your taste progress report. Day 30, recommit. Write the next 30-day billboard. Reset your canon, keep the loop running, curate, craft, cut, repeat. Taste isn't a phase, it's an operating system. Metrics that matter: number of artifacts shipped, number of cuts made, number of no's said, number of people who smiled unprompted when they touched your work. Those are the only dashboards I trust. One more thing. Stay hungry, stay foolish, cultivate taste. Let me leave you with this. Taste is not snobbery. Taste is love plus judgment. Love for the person you serve, judgment about what deserves to be in front of them. When you have taste, you stop worshiping complexity because it looks serious. You start honoring clarity because it respects time, their time, your time, the only resource none of us can replace. When I look back, the moments I'm proudest of weren't when we added something clever. They were when we removed something comfortable. Dropping out of college was subtraction. Getting fired was brutal subtraction. Both created space for taste to take root. Both forced me to ask, what do I actually believe should exist? That question is the beginning of every great product and every great life. So here's the invitation. Become the person whose default is discernment. When everyone else is chasing more, choose better. When everyone else is shouting, choose quiet. When everyone else is decorating, choose design. When you feel that inner click, the one that says, this is right, don't compromise, defend it, you'll be called difficult good. Difficult is the price of obvious in hindsight. If this idea resonates, if you believe in changing the status quo by mastering your eye, your ear, your gut, then show it. Subscribe to this channel, because we are building a community of people who think differently. We hold the bar high, not because it's fashionable, but because the world runs better when tools are built with care. The journey doesn't end here. If you're committed to sharpening your taste, curating your inputs, and shipping work that feels inevitable, subscribe and press the like button to join the movement. Now close the tab. Pick one artifact you'll ship before noon tomorrow. Kill one thing that doesn't serve the billboard, and go do something wonderful.